Session 24 of the Lost Man of Phandelver, Group 89 makes its final steps towards defeating the Black Spider, the Dread Tyrant, and everyone else in between. Our DM helpfully points out that where we last left off, which was forever ago, we had defeated Jarno Albrecht, our longest known nemesis, and who we were so close to catching all the way back in Tresendar Manor. He managed to get away, but we fortunately defeated him, and Ellie and Eliza have pilfered everything from him and taken his head as proof for the Harpers. Ferris Bueller, who we hand these things into, has allowed us to keep the items as I stay behind to just explain what the hell happened in the crypt and basically just keep alert, on high alert for any more happenings that may be going on. But before then, we talked to Marcy and asking her, look, we know that we have faults of our own, but we ask you to trust us when we say that you should leave this place, because you will have enemies here. You know, try and make a new start. Think for yourself, act independently. And she decides to sleep on the information that we've talked about. Her current path is at least veered into a different direction, more good than bad. So we consider our next move. We have three options. We can first of all speak to the Lord's Alliance about Jarno Albrecht, we can visit the Hall of Knowledge for further information, and we can go straight to the House of a Thousand Faces to rest. And so we do. Ferris Bueller is not in at the inn, and so Ellie leaves in code that the threat has been dispatched. This room is available to us, but I choose to stay at the temple. I've got some cleaning up to do. Ellie decides to head off to bed as she's swaying, eyes glassy and just completely knackered. Eliza says to Emil, "Hello!" They greet each other as players rather than characters. "Do you want to talk to Sildar?" she asks. And Emil suggests that Sildar and the Lord's Alliance will want to know what happened to him and the business of the cult. Maybe they can provide assistance like the Harpers did. So they talk about hitting things, and she hands over a potion of diminishing returns. Eliza has Jarno Albrecht's glass staff, inspecting it. And Ellie looks over the book, and the passage stands out as readable and well read on loose paper. The keys being found, Hader will commence continuing into the cave. And so we then decide to take a moment to discuss characters and names. Oh yes, here's something as well I need to show. Eliza test rolls 3 natural ones in a row. I know one of our players from before, Shoria, had commented about in one episode she had never seen so many nat ones in all the days. And I wish she was here to see this, because that was incredibly poor luck. And before the session started, I rolled a nat 1. I thought, you know what, I'll just get out of the way, and I did, and that's what happens. 4 nat 1s before we enter any combat. Before we actually really do any skill checks. Good God. And you know now why Emil's player hates D&D Beyond dice and would prefer to use his own. So, anyway. So the following morning, we wake up and we decide to go to the steps of the Lord's Alliance, which I hate and curse every step as we near the top. I said in the chat that Garveld will come to the session with an injured foot, because I too have come with an injured foot. Yeah, I managed to pull a tendon or a ligament. I mentioned before. Yeah. So there's a couple of guards at the top, to which they welcome us and escort us in enough to where we need to go. It's early in the morning, but we can see a plaque on the office of who it belongs to shining in the sunlight, and we all sort of go quiet and ask them, well, what we're going to do. And so the DM asks, "Do you knock?" And I say, "If no one else will, I just slam on the door and go, bloody hell, wake up, Sildar! We've got bloody Painites to kill!" Eventually, a much more well-kept Sildar opens up. His hair is slicked back, his beard shaved, his outfit cleaner, and of course, again, he has won the genetic lottery. And he says, "Oh, gods above, it's only... what time is it? What can I do for you?" I look to Ellie throwing the sack, saying "catch" as it leaves her hands. Sildar holds a bloody bag, which is hopefully dry, but alas, it's unfortunately slightly damp still. He grunts as he catches it, and Eliza says, "We thought you might appreciate the gift." He nods us all into the office space, and it's large enough to fit us all comfortably. He walks to the desk, sets the bag down, and takes a peek, shuts it up quickly, and mutters something, shocked, unable to comprehend what he's seen. Ellie explains that he was working with dark magics. That Yana was working with dark magics. Sildar is confused with this and is presented the Scorched spellbook by Eliza. I'm not much of a magic user, but this will at least be evidence in his wrongdoings. Eliza's still holding on to the staff, which Sildar notices. "I'd recognise that anywhere." "Oh, this old wooden thing?" Holding the wooden glass staff. Eliza. I tell you what," he nods at the head, suggests Eliza. "I think this is enough evidence. Do you have time to do a debriefing? Write a small report of your findings, where we can find the rest of him? How about we tell you, and you write it all in the fancy language required?" Ellie suggests. All right, says an exhausted Sildar. We do so, and the evidence clears our names of murder. We also take the time to mention the Dread Tyrant Hader Costa, the Red Wizards. He also asks of Gundren Rockseeker, and we beat around the bush about the tragedy which occurred. "Unfortunate news," he says. "I had hoped he'd made it out like I did." He says he believes his owes us something and goes behind his desk. He pulls out a bag of gold. "For everything you've done for me, it's the least you could do." It's the least you could do. Sorry, I think that was meant to be "it's the least I could do." And he hands us a bag of 100 gold. We considered giving him his old armour and sword from Cragmore Castle, which we had considered selling. He's since got some new armour, but this sword is very special to him. I ask him if he's had a visit from Harbin west of the Townmaster of Phandalin, and he hasn't. And so it seems the coward has done a runner. Halia Thornton now runs the place, and he does appreciate that it's in good hands, so it seems to him. So we tell of our next move. Eliza mentions our friend from the future and how things will go to absolute chaos if we don't stop them. Ellie pokes Yarno's severed head in the eye, mourning Gundren even though she makes a point of having never met him. "Do you need any help before your next step on your adventure?" And Ellie asks, "What can you help to offer? What help can you offer?" "Not sure if these old creaky bones are ready to go out again, but the Lord's Alliance can." I ask, "Creaky bones? How do you think I feel?" Now Ellie mentions that there's going to be some mad wizards with a potential dragon at their disposal. To which Sulla says, "You are the bringer of good news. It could be a zombie dragon. Does such a thing exist?" Eliza and Ellie talk about the possibility. "I may have something to help you out," and he tells us to stay put as we poke around his room for 15 minutes or so. We see lots of paperwork, partial notes, a locked drawer. "Locked, you say," Ellie says. To which the DM replies, "Locked, I did say." An open drawer has candies, and so Ellie hands out these old people candies like Werther's Originals and other hard-boiled sweets, which I would have liked, to be honest, but I was just in a doze again. I was focused. I was too focused on my pain. I don't think I would have enjoyed a Werther's Original. And so the DM says, "Make a thieves' tools check upon the chest." The chest of drawers, in which Ellie rolls a 29, which our DM says, "Jesus, that's a disgusting roll." The lock is old and crappy, but with some rough opening, it comes undone in a jiffy. In it is more. In it is more smaller pouches of coin. In one of the back pouches is platinum. She takes all but one coin, leaving a note saying thanks for the loan. Eliza leaves a gold tooth in there also. I forgot that she had those. She takes 15 platinum pieces, 150 gold pieces total. And so we all roll perception. Myself and Eliza roll 17, Ellie rolls 13, Emil rolls 9. And we hear rapid footsteps approach as the door handle starts to turn. Ellie reassembles the lock because she's contrarian like that. And I think this is a good idea as John. I think that's a fantastic idea for rogues. It's one thing to break a lock, but can you make it look as though you haven't broken it at all? Sildar slips in as if he's being followed and shuts the door behind him. I think I can get you something for the vaults of the Lord's Alliance, but quickly, and don't be poking around too much. By the time he turns around, he finishes saying this and checks to ensure no one is listening at the door. He's sort of like just peeking around the door, just like that. So, we go downstairs to the vault, and the stairs are killing me. And Ellie says, if only there was someone strong enough to carry him. Sildar shows parchment to a guard outside the vault, and we arrive at a massive door of stone. To the dwarves of the party, myself and Emil, it is amazing. They're 10 feet tall and feature no handles. The guard puts up something we can't quite see, and the door, as well as the bevels within it, start to glow and sink in, grinding open to a room filled with artifacts. I put here as a editorial note, not D&D artifacts with a capital A, just like rare items. They're behind cases of glass for the most part for their own protection. And the artifacts are as follows. A Dragon Slayer weapon, the type is the player's choice. A +1 piece of armor, depending on where we stand. It's almost holographic. It's almost like a holographic card that has those different sort of images as you tilt it. It shifts to whatever I'm thinking of. A robe of protection, a ring of evasion, a +1 piece of dragon scale armor which fits to the player character. Advantage on saving throws against frightful presence and breath weapons. The scale armor determines what damage types it defends against. And a bag of holding, or as I put in the chat, super sack. We take the Dragon Slayer rapier and the robe of protection. So Talon, Eliza's rapier, is given to Ellie, and Eliza gets Dragon Slaying rapier. And the robe of protection is taken by Ellie. The guard will take the items, hand them to us, and we will leave. And we're also allowed to take a scroll of Revivify, which Emil now has. So now we have 3 Revivifies in our party. So I have my own as a spell, which costs diamonds. So I've only got enough really to use that. Emil's now got a scroll, and I've got a scroll. Hey! So we exit with Sildar wishing us the best of luck. I take my Warhammer pieces that I got from the blacksmith, and I scatter them about, which isn't very environmentally friendly, according to RDM. Eliza decides to carve what I think are little toys. I didn't quite catch it, I'm afraid. She rolls dexterity to carve wood, and with 3 rolls, 10, 14, nat 20 plus 4, she makes the one she wants. Emil summons an elk with fine steed, and Eliza asks us to reach into a pouch and roll d4s. Emil rolls a 3, I roll a 4, and Ellie rolls a 4. Her gifts are greatly appreciated, even if only 2 of them are decent-ish. I think Ellie and I roll the highest, and we get the pretty good-looking little toys. And I think Ellie as well. She makes a point of like carving a hole into like the center of one, so she can put string around it and tie it around her neck. So we then go to Phandalin, and we suggest to one another seeing Alia Thornton. It appears as though her office space is being expanded, with an additional desk area being added. The familiar voice calls out from a cracked door, followed by another. Eliza quietly goes back, hiding behind the 3 stunties that she shares the party with. Halia walks out, surprised to see us all stood there, and behind her is Marcy. Halia is talking about how another hand would be useful, and how she could be trained in the militia she chooses. Her face turns pink, and she holds up her hand and wave. I took your advice. I'm gonna stay here in Phandalin. Eliza looks elsewhere and says nothing. Ellie looks at them both strange and then welcomes Marcy to Phandalin. Here's to new beginnings, I guess. She seems eager, if nervous about being around us. We wish her to stay safe as she walks past. She stops and turns to Eliza and says, "Sorry for yelling at you before. I think I just needed this push to do something else." Eliza mumbles, It's good to see you too. It's good to see you change. Start anew." And gives a smile. "Well, you'll know where I'll be at, here. Well, stay safe." And she exits, following Harlia's instruction to go on where to go. We tell Harlia to ready the militia and get ready to evacuate the townsfolk. Harlia is extremely confident and that she'll get people ready to go. "You seem like you know what you're doing," Eliza says. "We'll make sure that we're all safe here. You do the same." And so, we have ourselves a break, and we strategize.
Desperation, it's a desperate race against the mind, and a race against time.
So we think about what we're going to do next, and like how we're going to use our different abilities. So I've got Spirit, Guardians, Channel Divinity, Path to the Grave. Emil's got Aura of Protection, Mage Slayer, feat from Eliza, giving her defense for the +1 AC fighting style. Awesome. And now the music changes. Following the map, we have to figure where we figure it's approximately 10 miles. Sorry, I can't speak today. 10 miles directly east of Phandalin. We may have to go around through the hillside to make our travel a little longer, but otherwise remaining manageable. It's about noon now. I ask about the corruption in the area, and we roll Perception. Eliza 22, Ellie 11, and myself and Emil roll 9. Now, more to the south of the cave, of Wave Echo Cave, we notice the blighted areas of grass, foliage, trees, all withering away. As we get closer and closer to our destination, bigger patches are like this. Previously, it looked more like a blast than a spread, and it stops at the mouth of the cave. Eliza looks around for evidence of dragons, with a survival 10-11 with assistance from Ellie. Reveals that if this was a dragon, it's none that she knows of. She's suspicious, but she cannot confirm it. Ellie asks if there's any signs of people, footprints or carts. So she rolls a 26 Perception. She has the choice of survival, but says, "I take that one." She says you could either, depending on which role you went for, you could get different results. So with the 26 Perception, she goes, "I take that one." She has an idea of where the cave entrance is, but doesn't know what it looks like. We enter the dense thicket to find more natural pillars of rock surrounding the inner ravine. She follows us until she finds a cliff face and something is covering it. A dark section which could be a hole. Single file paths have been made as if a single or handful of people have been whacked at the trees and assorted foliage. We sit outside for an hour and watch for people. It was a little rough to reach the ravine we rest at, and Garveld's angry at the world because he's having to walk even further. Emil wants to bring his elk into the cavern. It can attack and do all manner of things on its own, but has no Darvision. And the group makes fun of how they're actually celestial beings and this, that, and the other. And Eliza's player's like, "Wait, really? Is this true?" So Eliza makes some camouflage for herself with a 16, and Ellie takes the Bell of Silent Alarm to travel onward a bit. Eliza rolls 16. And natural 20 plus 5 perception to look out for bugs and animals, but there seems to be a lack of bird and mammal animal life. It seems as though the amount has suddenly dwindled, but Eliza doesn't know why. The two stealthers want to go on ahead, using items to leave markings behind to provide a trail, like chalk and things like that. So Ellie and Eliza walk into 60 feet into the first chamber, and it's definitely not the main chamber, having clearly been dug through. By the time they reach this chamber, it's only very dim light filtering through. Stealth checks were initially offered, but the DM decided it's not necessary at this point. Off into the furthest northern area, the supplies, carts, barrels, crates, a lineup of pickaxes, shovels, and other assistance to help dig through the cave. Bedrolls, blankets, lantern, and other equipment provided as if for a long dig. Ellie asks how long they've been undisturbed, and it's hard to tell, but everything in here smells. Below are tunnels, northwest and the east, with 50-foot rope helping them lead downwards. Emil rolls 8 investigation to look and finds pack with clothing that is about his size. So we start to wonder if these are the dwarves. I roll 12 medicine to investigate the blood. It's been here for more than a few days, maybe pushing more than 4 days. The blood may be more recent than that of the decomposition of the horse, and the dust on the objects. The horse corpse looks as though it's been mummified, which has puncture wounds all over the body. Eliza's nature check of 19 to determine what caused this. It's more that they were one at a time than all at once. Lots of them though, and there's also droppings on the floor. Garvald mutters under his breath, "Vampires." The symbols on the belongings seem to have been burn marked in. It could well be the Rockseeker's belongings. One or multiple, it's hard to tell, but there's 3 sleeping bags here, and unfortunately we know that 2 of the Rockseekers are dead. We climb down. Eliza uses her echo to teleport. Ellie rolls 11 athletics to climb down safely if suffering minor rope burn. They roll stealth. Eliza 13 and Ellie 12. From the east, Eliza hears very distant water, echoing throughout the cavern. Ellie checks the northwest tunnel, rolling 26 perception. It's very quiet. From the east, Eliza hears very distant water, echoing throughout the cavern. Oh yeah, sorry, I do apologize, but I've already said that. I roll 7 athletics, a DC of 10, as my old bones cause me to hit a loose piece of rope, slipping as the weight of everything pulls me down. I fall on my ass and suffer rope burns, but no damage. I take 5 minutes to cast Mold Earth to shape the loose earth onto into a staircase, so Emil's elk can descend, with some difficulty in time, but otherwise not requiring a check. And Emil goes down the rope, rolling 22 athletics. Nice one. The ceilings are only 6 foot high. Eliza and Ellie wander through the easternmost room. The dynamic lighting is gorgeous, with its blurry edges as well, I should add. The stealthers move further east, seeing minecarts and tracks, and they also see a bloodbath. A stealth check of 16 for Eliza, and 20 for Ellie. Perception checks are 19 for Eliza. No, sorry, stealth check 6 stealth for Eliza and 20 for Ellie. Perception checks are 19 for Eliza and 15 for Ellie. They come across a battleground of decades ago, broken bones and weapons and shields of many different creatures. Along the walls and flooring there's intricate designs carved with simple reliefs. There's dwarf and gnome miners here hard at work, rusted scraps of armour scattered all over, covering them in dust. At first, even at a quick glance at the scene, it seems there's lanterns placed around some of the niches and edges around the cavern. Taking a few steps forwards, Eliza stumbles across something. Asks for armor class of 19. She feels a sharp pinch at the back of her neck as something lands on the back of her neck and lands directly, biting deep into the muscle. A sturge, appears, and so we roll initiative. Now Ellie, not being surprised, rolls a 20. Emil rolls nat 20 minus 1, so he gets an 8 and 19. I roll 16. The second group of Sturges rolls an 8. Eliza rolls 7. A Sturge group 1 rolls 5. And another creature later on rolls a 4. In round 0, the Sturge bites for 7 points of damage, maximum damage, and is attached to Eliza. Eliza is no longer surprised as a result of this. Ellie stabs at the Sturge on Eliza's neck, rolling 21 to hit, doing 13 piercing damage, maximum damage, to kill it instantly, shish kebabbing it as he tosses the bloody carcass aside. For her extra attack, she will use a crossbow expert to shoot the Sturge atop the ceiling, rolling 19 to hit, dealing 8 damage, maximum damage, killing it also. Emil moves forth and dashes into the fray, reaching Eliza and Ellie, commanding his elk to stay behind just for a short moment. The Sturge moves fast as as they can to dive bomb their nearest targets. 2 try to go for Emil and 1 goes for Ellie. Ellie's hits with 21, followed by a 15 to miss. Ellie then takes 5 points of damage, and the Sturge attacking her is attached to her. Emil's both miss. Eliza rolls dirty 20 to hit Ellie's Sturge with the Dragon Slayer Rapier, dealing 7 damage. For her second attack, she moves her Echo forward and attacks one of Emil's Sturges with a 10. Apparently, her Echo's name is Fuck You. And now the other creature starts to rumble as a Sturge Queen appears on the initiative count. Sturge Group 1 advances, failing to smell blood on Eliza's Echo and starts to launch. 1 goes on Ellie, 1 goes on Eliza, and 2 target Emil. 23 hits Ellie, dealing 5 damage, attaching. 19 just hits Eliza, dealing 7 damage, maximum damage again, and is attached. 1 attacks Emil for 23 and hits, and is attached. The Sturge Queen, hovering above, moves forth. It hovers for a second before springing to find someone to attach. It goes to Ellie, noting it's a medium creature versus her, who is small, before lunging with an 18 to hit. It rolls 8 points to hit. It rolls 8 points of damage and is attached, but is next to her because she's too small to like have the Sturge Queen is too big rather to occupy the same space. So, in the second round of combat, Ellie uses her action to remove the Sturge Queen. She's going to crush her as hard as she can in revenge, moving towards Emil for the Word of Radiance. Emil will take his Warhammer, he'll point it up and slam it into the ground, requiring con saves from all enemies within a 5-foot radius. DC 13, so 2 die to 8 damage and 4 of them succeed. I cast Create Bonfire, the Sturge Queen batting all 4 wings to try and evade the flames, hovering above it. A Sturge tries to strike Emil but only hits his armor, as Eliza rolls a 21 to hit Emil's Sturge and kills it with 6 damage, skewering it. Emil hears it pop as it's flicked away. She rolls a natural 20 plus 8 to kill the Sturge on Ellie, although she would kill it anyway. She sees for herself. 19 damage, very impressive. Something as well about the damage numbers here is that most of us do the maximum, like, I think Eliza especially, with her piercing and all that sort of stuff, she does the minimum amount of damage required to kill them anyway, even if she rolled the minimum number of dice, so no point really, if she hits, she kills it. Fair enough. So she strikes one more time but misses with the 12 to hit the Sturge Queen, gaining ground. So Eliza's Sturge bites for 5 damage, taking its movement to detach itself and fly away, with Eliza using a reaction to strike with a 15, killing it with the minimum of 6 damage she could deal. The Sturge Queen thrashes around, requiring Ellie and Eliza to make dexterity saving throws. Ellie rolls a natural 20 plus 8. And Eliza rolls 22 to save. They both take 8 damage each, but Ellie uses her uncanny dodge to reduce that down to 4. Nice one. I'm not overly familiar with rogues, so they have a lot of tricks up their sleeves that I don't really know about. It's always things like sneak attack or expertise that I think about, but never actually like the uncanny dodge stuff. That's awesome. So, in the third and final round of combat, Ellie rolls 19 with Talon, dealing 13 damage, and with a hand crossbow she rolls 19 to hit and does 9 points of damage. Emil triggers an attack of opportunity by closing in on the Queen, taking 5 points of damage and being attached by another Sturge. He swings at the Queen with All Faithful, rolling 21 to hit. It does 6 damage and an extra attack does 10. It does an extra attack to miss with a roll of 10. It looks awesome in the flame beneath the Queen. I miss with Toll the Dead. The Sturge on Emil deals 6 points of damage, popping off and flying away. Emil hits for 22 and deals 7 damage, killing it, splatting it with the flat of the hammer on the wall. Eliza rolls 21 to hit the Sturge and does 8 damage, followed by Nat 20 plus 8 to hit again, but followed by 17 damage. She kills it by making yet another half-inch hole in its belly, twisting and turning and slicing upwards to open it up and spill the. So she stabs in, twists, tears upwards like that, and spills guts all over it and herself. It tries to fly up high as it spirals down in the flames and burns. Winner, winner, chicken dinner. Combat end. So we can now have a look we can have a little look around before the session ends. This area looks like a grand entrance of some kind, or the former resemblance of one. Emil asks of the bodies. They're mostly dwarven. With the 16 medicine check, he can also tell there's thinner and less dense features, telling him there's no bodies here. There's the occasional larger skeleton and skulls of orcs. Emil says a prayer for only the dwarves and the gnomes who lost their lives defending the Forge of Spells. I make a mental note to give these people a proper burial, and in this spot we hear waves calmly echoing. Are waves particularly calm? I don't think so. They're making a gentle sound anyway, echoing throughout the cave after a short while, and that is where the session ends. I appreciate that this was a probably very blandly narrated session recap, and as well it's a quick one. I enjoyed the session very much, absolutely. It was a really good one. We're finally making our steps towards the enemy. I think we've done just about all that we can in terms of gathering aid in a timely manner. But I think we've got about 2, maybe 3 more sessions left in Wave Echo Cave, and possibly even the end of the adventure, which I've really enjoyed, and yeah, I look forward to seeing what happens next with the group. But that's if the party survives this adventure. We will see. But hey, it's been terrific, and it's only going to get better. So do forgive my my rather nasally recap today. I do apologise that it's been rather boring to listen to. But yeah, I hope the next one will be. I hope I'm a bit more, I guess, in the mood to do that one. Really. Yeah, I've just got so many videos that I've got to get done for another channel as well, so that's not too good. So yeah, anyway, yes, thank you for watching. Take care, and yeah, like I say, looking forward to the next session. Definitely.